If you're a real Christian, I don't know, you're like, did I miss the rapture? I mean, I've heard about it. It's where Jesus takes everybody home. Did I miss it? How many of you lately, you're like, are there any real Christians left?
These were the words of Jesus before he departed this world, according to John 14:3. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. This may not be a direct reference to the second coming, but it does provide confidence that there is a place beyond this world. Max Lucado, a profound minister of the gospel and an expert in eschatology, seems to be gradually piecing all the puzzles together on rapture. He recently revealed deeper truths about the end-time prophecies, and that these prophecies are presently being fulfilled in our world today. However, many Christians are wondering if the rapture will happen sooner or later.
Strength to endure these storms. Could it be that the Lord is reminding us that we're getting closer and closer and closer?
How do you find good news in such bad times? In this episode of the Glenn Beck podcast, Glenn interviews Pastor Max Lucado. The remedy, he argues, is simple. Remember that God is still on the throne, even while we are in turmoil. Max's calm-headed advice is exactly what the world needs right now, as the battle for the end times approaches. Looking at Revelation chapters 13 and 14, you will find a brief but inclusive response to the topic of the end times. Revelation 13, 1-15. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth, in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. And he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. However, for many years, the Church of God has, with the help of the Bible, predicted a variety of events that they believe must happen before Christ's return. Some of these predictions are mostly based on incorrect readings of biblical prophecies, employing the futurism method developed by Catholic Jesuit priests during the Counter-Reformation. Many churches have produced television programs that are strongly laced with futurist notions, such as the United Church of God's 7 prophetic signs before Jesus returns, and the Living Church of God's 5 prophecies for the Middle East. Also, church leaders have dogmatically claimed that Christ can't return yet, unless a slew of their fictitious concepts come true. Not only that, they have repeatedly referred to the same set of events that they believe must take place first, such as the Great Tribulation, the 10 toes of European power, and the 2 witnesses, to mention a few. I believe that if Christ returned today, many members of the Church of God, COG, would remark things like, this is a hoax, or worse, this must be the Antichrist, based on all the prophecies that they have been hearing during the Church's final, Laodicean era. But the fundamental question is, how will Christ perceive individuals who fail to recognize his return for what it is, due to their own refusal to thoroughly study the Bible's prophecies? Could this be what he is warning us against in Matthew 25's parable of the 10 virgins, in which those who are not prepared for his return are barred from entering the kingdom? However, when Christ originally arrived on earth, his own corporeal people, for the most part, refused to acknowledge and embrace him as the Messiah who had been predicted to come. We will probably see history repeat itself again when Christ returns to his spiritual people. Nevertheless, we must not neglect God's warning about the tribulation.
I have phenomenal news to share. The tribulation, yep, it's going to happen. It's not happened yet, but it will happen. Satan's henchman, he will be worse than anyone could ever imagine. But I have wonderful news. If you are in Christ, dear friend, you won't have to face the Antichrist or experience the Great Tribulation.
Looking at Bible commentaries from centuries ago, one finds that the prevailing belief back then was that this prophecy was mostly fulfilled in the 1st century AD. The popular belief has only been projecting this Great Tribulation into the future for the last 150 years or so. The Olivet prophecy in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, which is centered on Jerusalem, describes this occurrence. However, Great Tribulation is stated in Matthew 24:21, whereas Great Distress is used in Luke 21:23. According to Luke, there would be great distress for both the land, Judea, and this people, the Jews. This would be followed by the Jews being led into captivity, and then the times of the Gentiles. Verse 24, meaning that the Gentiles would trample Jerusalem for 2,520 years, starting from the time that Nebuchadnezzar captured Jerusalem, would last until the Jews met their end. Everything above is consistent with what the Romans did to the Jews. However, some interpreters of this verse desire to use the idea of duality to understand it, believing that in addition to the 1st century fulfillment, there is also a second fulfillment that occurs at the end of time. But Christ declared precisely the opposite. He said, "For then there will be great tribulation. Such has not been since the beginning of the world, until this time. No, nor ever shall be." How is that dual? Matthew 24:22, which says, "And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But those days will be shortened for the elect's sake," is often cited. The term "no flesh" refers to the entire world. However, as was already mentioned, Luke 21:23 makes clear that this disaster was only supposed to affect the land, Judea, and this people, the Jews, not the entire world. People only needed to leave Judea and fly to the mountains, Matthew 24:16, in order to avoid this catastrophe. This is precisely what the Christians did after the first Roman attack on Jerusalem in 66 AD was repulsed, giving them time to escape and escape with their lives. The events and predictions of the rapture will definitely continue until it finally happens. However, it is important that the believers stay focused on serving the Lord with the whole of their hearts in preparation for the rapture. As the prediction continues, when do you think the rapture will occur? Leave your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Until next time, thanks for watching.